You want to start eating healthy, but don't really know where to begin. And I get it because food can be freaking overwhelming. Well, I'm talking all about how to start eating better and what that looks like. And it's not as complicated as it's made out to be. So strap in, get ready for episode 230. Let's go.
The future of fitness.
How do you gain muscle mass?
Fitness is not complicated. It's simple when you break it down.
There's so much information out there.
No fads, no diets, just plain simple habits.
You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. For my return listeners, thank you for coming back. It means the world to me that you continue to tune into this podcast, these little tidbits of information. If you have not grabbed your free meal plan, please head on over to bonestobulk.com/free meal plan and grab that. You'll put in your email address and then it's delivered right to your inbox. Easy peasy, right? And I will link that in the show notes. But with that being said, let's get started. So how do you start eating better? Well, the first thing is don't feel that this is an all or nothing thing. I think oftentimes we get in the mindset that I just have to throw everything out of my house and start all over, and I just am not ready for that big of a change. Well, guess what? You don't have to do that. You don't have to just start completely from scratch. You can take your time and ease into it. So for starters, the number one thing I recommend is focus on your liquids. That's right. What are you drinking on a daily basis? Whether it's juices or teas or sodas, there's probably a lot of calories that we're consuming and a lot of other unhealthy stuff we're consuming just from our liquids. Focus on that. Maybe soda is your crutch. Maybe it's sweet tea. Whatever it may be, swap that out for water. I always suggest this is the best starting place because as you begin to cut that out and drink water, you're going to feel better. You really are. And if you're trying to lose fat, it'll help with that as well. But most of us, I read a statistic the other day, and I think it was 57% of all U.S. citizens are dehydrated all the time. That's crazy. And the reason for that is because we think that because we're having soda, because we're having tea, because we're having whatever, that we're hydrating ourselves, when in reality, we're not. We're not. So that is the first thing to focus on. The next thing is pick one meal, one item that you know just is not good. Maybe, you hit up the fast food every morning and get something on your way to work. Maybe it's that afternoon trip to the vending machine to get a candy bar and a soda. Whatever it is, we probably all have that one thing that just kind of stands out above the rest that we're doing. Well, try to knock that out. So first thing, if you're doing fast food, you've got to stop the fast food, for real. I can't even say enough bad things about it. But that's the first thing to go, start prepping some food. And maybe this is just prepping your lunch. You don't have to have this crazy, organized, just insane refrigerator packed with meals that are pre-planned. Just have a few things that you pre-plan for the week. So maybe this looks like, I think we have that mindset of, well, if I'm meal prepping, then I'm having those little plastic trays with the chicken and the rice and the broccoli. It doesn't have to look like that. I mean, you could do a whole wheat sandwich with some turkey and some low-fat cheese and some mustard. Is that, the ideal lunch? Maybe not, but it's a great option once in a while. So start small. Going from fast food to a deli sandwich that you make at home is a great first stepping stone. It really is. Again, we get in this mindset that it has to look like all these things we see online and all these pictures we see of these crazy food prep things, but where are you at? Where are you on your journey? You're probably early on. You're probably not to that stage yet. And that's fine. It didn't take you, a day or a week to get to where you're at now. It took years of lifestyle habits to get in the state you're in, and it may take years to get out of that state and to get into a healthier you. So don't feel that you can't make small steps because you absolutely can. Maybe for breakfast, instead of getting a gas station, breakfast, whatever sandwich they have there and a Monster Energy drink, maybe you just make a smoothie for breakfast and you can make it the night before so that you can just grab it out of the fridge on your way out the door in the morning and you don't have to spend any time thinking about it. It's ready to go and it's convenient and it's healthy. So I think the biggest thing I just want to encourage you is get out of the mindset that everything has to be just this perfect, looking whatever. It doesn't. Start small, start with where you're at, and then continually add to it. So, once you start to get one thing down, add something else to it. Once you get breakfast down, then start adding in lunch. Then once you start getting lunch nailed down, then start adding in dinner. Then start your snacks, like baby step it up. And this may last over the course of several months of working up to this. Don't expect like just every day to be able to add to it. It's going to take time. The second thing is people think that eating healthy is expensive. It's not. When you eat simple, healthy foods, you don't spend a ton of money. Now, if you're going to go the organic, that whole route, yeah, you can spend a lot of money. I personally don't. I'm cheap, so I like to, do everything on a budget. My weekly grocery bill for a family of 4 is around $150 every single week. And that's lower than most of the people I know. I know people who spend that just, going out to lunch 5 days a week. So, and that's my entire grocery bill for a week for a family of 4. So it doesn't have to be expensive. When you start eating things like when you start having meals that just consist of a meat and a healthy vegetable and a healthy carbohydrate like some potatoes or some rice, that stuff's not expensive. It's really not. So that's another thing that I just want to dispel. Eating healthy does not have to cost a lot of money. All right, the next thing is time. People think, I've got to have all this time to food prep. No, you don't. In fact, food prepping saves you time during the week because when you sit there and make an individual meal each night of the week, that takes way more time than making a bunch of meals at once. But you don't have to start making meals all at once on the weekend. Start small, start with where you're at. The next thing is people get way too consumed with macros. What are my macros? How much carbs should I be eating? How much protein should I be eating? How much fat should I be eating? And while I'm not saying that stuff doesn't come into play, if you're just starting off, don't worry about that stuff. The main thing you want to be focusing on is how many overall calories are you eating in a day. And if you've never tracked your calories, I highly encourage you to do so. Grab a free app like MyFitnessPal. Fitbit makes one. If you're an Android user, those phones come with Samsung Health. You can track it in that. I believe the iPhones come with one as well, though I'm not too familiar with Apple. I'm not an Apple person. Sorry if I lost you there. But my point is, there's plenty of free resources out there. So grab an app and just start logging everything you eat because it's a learning experience. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but you get used to it. And then those apps usually track the things you eat on a regular basis. So you don't have to go searching for them. So it gets easier as you do it. But it's an eye-opening experience because you really begin to dissect what is in the food you're eating. And it's not just randomly shoving stuff in your mouth and not knowing what it is. Now, with protein, it is important to get enough protein. I recommend between 0.8 and 1 gram per pound of body weight. That is not at 100% across the board statistic, but that's a good starting point. And then the rest should come from mostly carbohydrates and then some fats as well. So that's kind of how I roughly would suggest just track your calories, make sure you're getting enough protein, and don't worry about the rest. That stuff can come later on as you get more comfortable with eating healthy, as you get more into a routine and a schedule. Then you can start breaking down the macros more, but don't really overstress that stuff in the beginning. It's not worth it. And then the last thing I'm going to touch on is snacking. Snacking can be a huge trip up for a lot of us. We all typically have those go-to snacks, whether it's the after dinner snacks, the late night snacking, the afternoon snacking, whatever it is, we typically have stuff. Just get that stuff out of the house and have healthy options to snack on. You don't want to get rid of all snacks because then you're going to go crazy. You want to get rid of the bad and have some healthy alternatives in place of them because that way when you are, getting those munchies, you have something to turn to where you're not going crazy and you're not going to, go out and buy a bunch of stuff or order a bunch of crap that you shouldn't. That way you have something to go to as a healthy alternative. I highly recommend things like yogurts, popcorn, the Smart Pop popcorn, veggies and hummus, things like that are going to satisfy that munchy snacking urge, but be really low in calories and really good for you. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives you some good ideas for how to start eating healthier. If so, hit me up on social media. I am everywhere at Bones to Bulk. Please hit me up. I would love to connect with you. And remember, no matter where you are in your journey, what you're struggling with, you can hit the fitness goals you want to. You've got this.